So what are the pathogenesis of prematurity? Pathogenesis of prematurity. For the pathogenesis of prematurity, you need to know that what? For the pathogenesis, the first element, there are two major etiologies under which you are going to have prematurity. The first thing is preterm labor, and the second thing is going to be fetal anomalies. So those are the two major pathogenesis under which we have prematurity. Preterm labor is a major etiology of prematurity. So if you have all the etiologies of preterm labor can be associated with risk factors of prematurities. So preterm labor can come as a result of what? You need to know that what preterm labor can come as a result of mechanism of prostaglandin release systemically or locally. Systemically, prostaglandin release in cases of infections. You can have systemic prostaglandin release in the case of infections, and we have local prostaglandin release in the cases of premature rupture of membrane. So systemically, if you have infection, it's going to result in prostaglandin release, and locally, if you have premature rupture of membrane, it's going to result in prostaglandin release. Now, oxytocin. Another cause of premature preterm labor may be sexual intercourse by the term period, where oxytocin may be released. Now, you have those are some elements which are associated. We have also stress, which can be associated with preterm labor. Preterm labor can also be a sort of stress, and those stress can be as a result of trauma. Stress can be a result of infection. Stress can be a result of iatrogenic medications. Stress can be a result of all these elements. And generally, there is a mnemonic for all the stress as the 8 I's. The first 2 I's are iatrogenic stress and iatrogenic stress, and the second I is going to be infection. The next 2 I's is going to be infarction and ischemia. The next the next 2 I's is going to be illegal, like consuming illegal drugs, and you have infractions like trauma. And then the last 2 I's is infants, like when you are pregnant, and 8 is going to be idiopathic. So those are the 8 I mnemonic for all the stress that you can have. Is it clear? So all this stress can be associated with preterm labor. So those are different etiologies of preterm labor. Now, when you want to evaluate, another pathogenesis of prematurity can be based on the fetal abnormalities. And the fetal abnormalities, you need to know that what when you want to speak about genetic anomalies, you need to know that what there are 4 major genetic anomalies. The first genetic abnormality, you have chromosomal abnormalities. Chromosomal abnormalities, like in the case of monosomies. In monosomies, you have a lack of one chromosome, like in a monosomy 23 in the case of Turner syndrome. Basically, you have monosomy 23, like in the case of Turner syndrome. The next one, you can have trisomy. Trisomy is when you have an addition of only a single chromosome, like in the case of trisomy 21. Basically, like it's that, which is called Down syndrome. Basically, you have Klinefelter syndrome, which is a trisomy 23. You have a triple X syndrome, which is a trisomy 23. Now, the next one, you have the Edwards syndrome, which is a trisomy 18, and you have the Pato syndrome, which is a trisomy 13. So Edward, and you have Pato syndrome, which is trisomy 13. Those are chromosomal abnormalities. After chromosomal abnormalities, we have point mutations. So point mutation are more of they are more of nucleotide abnormalities. So when you have this point mutation, it can occur in the case of Duchenne muscular dystrophy or Becker muscular dystrophy. The third abnormality that you can have in genetic abnormality, you have uniparental disomies. Uniparental disomy, when you receive the chromosome of only a single grandparent or parent. it is called uniparental disomy. After and this can occur in the case of the Prader-Willi syndrome. Uniparental disomy occur in the case of Prader-Willi syndrome and can occur in the case of Angelman syndrome. Is it clear? The fourth after uniparental disomy, you have somatic mosaicism. You have what is called somatic mosaicism. And in case of somatic mosaicism, somatic mosaicism can occur when you have abnormality in divisions at the level of the cleavage stage when the zygote was formed. Is it clear? So in this somatic mosaicism, we have the third mechanism of the formation of Down syndrome, because you need to know that Down syndrome have three major etiologies. The first one is when you have the first Down syndrome, which is 95% of cases occurring after a age in females with age of 35 years of age. Is it clear? So the second Down syndrome, that one is non-disjunction Down syndrome. So non-disjunction is the first pathophysiology of that mechanism of pathogenesis of Down syndrome. Second mechanism of Down syndrome is when you have translocation and occur in 4% of cases. Translocation occur in 4% of cases where you have abnormality of chromosome. Generally, when you have no disjunction, there is no abnormality of chromosomes of the parent. But when there is translocation, there is generally abnormality of chromosome of the parents. And then the last one is the cases of the somatic mosaicism, and somatic mosaicism may result from Down syndrome. And then the last one are the fifth abnormality in the case of mitochondrial abnormality, which is being transmitted from mother to all her children. Mitochondrial abnormalities. Is it clear? And then you have the last one, which are the autosomal dominant and the autosomal dominant, the autosomal recessive condition. And lastly, we also have the sex-linked dominant and the sex-linked recessive condition. So those are the different abnormalities which are associated with the genes. And these abnormalities may be associated with prematurity, particularly chromosomal abnormalities like Edwards syndrome, Pato syndrome, Turner syndrome, and all that may be associated with prematurity. So those are the pathogenesis of prematurity. Now, the last one, which is the pathophysiology of prematurity, is going to be similar like the pathophysiology we are visualizing in birth asphyxia. So I'm not going to speak about that again. In addition to those pathophysiology, we will just add the mechanism of prematurity, which consists of hypofunction like central nervous system, hematopoietic system, the liver, and we have low birth weight. Is it clear? So those are the two mechanisms you have to add in addition to those pathophysiology to have all the complications of prematurity. Is it clear? So now, after speaking about prematurity, the next element that we're going to speak about is low birth weight.